चाहिँ अस्तिको जस्तो त्यति इन्ट्रेस्टिङ छैन ओके टुडेज टपिक इज नट द्याट क्लियर कट एन्ड इन्ट्रेस्टिङ दिस इज लिटल बिट डल काइन्ड अफ टपिक है अलिक भेग टपिक छ तै पनि आई विल ट्राई टु मेक यु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड है त ओके नाउ यु मस्ट हेभ हर्ड अबाउट माइकोब्याक्टेरियम ट्युबरक्लोसिस राइट इट कजेस pulmonary tuberculosis and extrapulmonary tuberculosis there are other mycobacteria but it is not mycobacterium tuberculosis and it causes disease different from that of the mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, it is also called atypical mycobacteria, also called non-tuberculous mycobacteria. It causes various skin disease, okay, disease of the lymphatic system, different kind of ulcers and lesions. So we'll talk about atypical mycobacteria, okay, because we are in integumentary MSK system, okay. We'll not talk about a lung disease or pulmonary disease. We'll talk about the disease of skin more commonly, okay. So atypical mycobacteria, also called non-tuberculous mycobacteria, we'll talk about this today, okay. So let's start with the introduction. Mycobacteria other than tubercle bacilli, okay, that means mycobacteria other than Mycobacterium tuberculosis that may cause human disease resembling tuberculosis. It can cause disease which is not tuberculosis, but it resembles tuberculosis. Also, it can cause lymphadenitis. It can also cause abscesses, also urinary infection and cutaneous lesion, but not tuberculosis or leprosy. So you must have been taught about leprosy by HOD. So this atypical mycobacteria or this what we say non-tuberculous mycobacteria do not cause tuberculosis and leprosy, but it can cause other disease like the skin disease, okay, urinary infection, abscesses, lymphadenitis, and it can also cause disease that resemble tuberculosis, but that is not tuberculosis. Such kind of bacteria is called as atypical mycobacteria, also called as MOTT, mycobacteria other than tubercle bacilli, okay. Now, they normally exist as saprophyte in the soil and water. So they are also found in the soil and water as saprophyte. They are usually not harmful, they are harmless. They can cause disease only in certain situations, especially when the patient becomes immunocompromised. When the immunity of the patient is lost in certain situations, it can cause disease in most of the situation, okay. They cause opportunistic disease, okay. So that means what is opportunistic disease? When the host immunity is lowered or when the host is immune compromised, in that situation, it can cause disease. Suppose the patient is cancer patient is taking anti-cancer drug, patient is a corticosteroid therapy patient, diabetic patient, okay, critically ill patient, cancer patient, HIV patient, they are the patient who are prone to opportunistic disease. So they are also named as opportunistic mycobacteria, okay. So in this picture, you can see this is the lesion in the neck of a child, okay, with atypical mycobacteria. And this is called as the Mycobacterium marinum, which causes infection in the skin. We'll talk about this in the next slide, okay. Did you understand? Buzio?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay. Now, infectivity of non-tuberculous mycobacteria is much less than that of tubercle bacilli. That means they are not as dangerous as Mycobacterium tuberculosis, but they are resistant to anti-tubercular drugs. See, the worst part is they are resistant to anti-tubercular drugs, particularly streptomycin isoniazid. Now, you know that, there are some anti-tubercular drug like, pyrazidamide, ethambutol, rifampicin, streptomycin, okay. Those are the anti-tubercular drug. So this atypical mycobacteria, they are resistant to anti-tubercular drug, for example, streptomycin and isoniazid, okay. The number of known currently, exceed more than 150. There can be up to 170 different species of atypical mycobacteria. All may not be medically important. Only few are medically important, causing different disease in humans. Now, non-tubercular mycobacteria are highly adaptable, okay. That means they can survive even in harsh situation, even if the nutrition is not present, even if the condition is not favorable, they can survive even in harsh situation. So they can inhabit hostile environment, okay. Even if the environment is not friendly, that is hostile, it can survive, including industrial solvent. So they can survive even in industrial solvent or industrial toxic fluid, they can survive in that kind of fluid. They cause disease mostly in immunocompromised host, and they cause disseminated disease. So the disseminated disease means disease spreading throughout the whole body, okay. When there is dissemination of disease throughout the whole body, that is called disseminated disease. and that indicates significant immune dysfunction. It can cause significant immune dysfunction. In that situation, it can cause disease. Okay, so you can see in this picture solid organ transplantation, chemotherapy patient, HIV/AIDS patient, stem cell transplantation patient, any kind of transplant, immunomodulatory drugs like anti-cancer drug, etc. Okay, they are the patient who are prone to this disease. Bujya? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you can see in this picture, there are different species of mycobacterium, atypical mycobacterium like Malmovens, Zulgai, Kansasi, Abscessus, Xenopi, Avium. Okay, so this is in the increasing order of pathogenicity. That means this might be the most pathogenic compared to this one. Okay, so many factors that play a role. It depends upon how pathogenic the bacteria is, how dangerous it is. Okay, it's all virulence factors like ability to cause disease, ability to invade the tissue. Okay, also it depends on the host factor like infecting, it depends on other factor like infecting load. Okay, if more amount of infecting load, then more chances of disease. Less amount of infecting load, less chances of disease. Even duration of exposure. So if the duration of exposure is more, than more chances of disease. If the duration of exposure is less, than less chances of disease. Even the host factors like the chronic lung disease, immunosuppression, genetic predisposition. So these all factors determine infection. Okay, so the possible outcome can be only transient colonization. So mycobacterium, atypical mycobacteria can only colonize but do not cause disease, or they may remain for a long time inside the body. They may even cause little infection. Okay, little or no pain kind of infection, that is called indolent infection. Indolent infection means infection with little or no pain. There is not much clinical symptom in the patient, or it can cause very active disease. So these are the different factors which determine the outcome of disease. Some of the example you can see, if the patient is taking tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibiting drug. Okay, now tumor necrosis factor alpha is very, very important in the body for immune response. Patient might be taking inhibitor of this factor like infliximab, adalimumab, certolizumab, okay, golimumab or etanercept, then the patient can be more prone to infection. And if there is mutation in interferon gamma, okay, now interferon gamma is a very important cytokine which can activate the cell-mediated immunity. For cell-mediated immunity to activate, interferon gamma, interleukin 12 are very, very important. Okay, so if there is mutation in the the gene for responsible for producing these cytokine, then also there will be loss of cell-mediated immunity, and the patient might be prone to atypical mycobacteria infection. In case of bronchiectasis also, okay, in case of bronchiectasis, what happens? This is the normal bronchus, okay. This is the bronchus which has been dilated, permanently dilated. So this kind of permanently dilated airway or the bronchus is called as a bronchiectasis. So when there is excess dilatation, there will be excess secretion of the mucus, and this mucus can block this airway, causing difficulty in breathing or some problem in the lungs. Even these patients are more prone to infection by atypical mycobacteria. In case of cystic fibrosis also, so what happens in cystic fibrosis? Again, there will be abnormal, huge amount of collection of mucus within the airways. Okay, this is the normal airway from which there occurs the passage of air and air exchange. So in this, the airway has been almost totally blocked by mucus. Okay, because of abnormal chloride secretion or because of abnormal accumulation of mucus in cystic fibrosis. These are the patients who are at high risk or who are at increased risk of getting atypical mycobacteria infection. Even in case of primary ciliary dyskinesia. Now, our body, okay, inside the airways, inside the lungs or inside the airway, there is cilia. The cilia is also some kind of, protective device for us to prevent from infection. In some situation, there might be, dyskinesia of cilia. That means the cilia inside your airway will not keep moving. It should move to prevent from the disease. So if there is stasis or dyskinesia of cilia also, then the patient is more prone to infection by atypical mycobacteria. Okay? Bujo Savaile? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now classification of atypical mycobacteria. On the basis of pigment production and growth rate, there was a scientist called as Ernest Runyon in 1951. He classified the non-tuberculous mycobacteria into 4 different groups. Okay, so the groups are photochromogen. Okay, photochromogen, it grows within 2 to 4 weeks. In this comes Mycobacterium kansasi, Mycobacterium simi, Mycobacterium marinum. Photochromogens, okay, its growth rate 2 to 4 weeks. Mycobacterium scofolicium, Mycobacterium gordoni, Mycobacterium zulgai. Non-photochromogen, 2 to 4 weeks growth rate. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to grow. Mycobacterium avium, Mycobacterium intracellular, Mycobacterium xenopi, Mycobacterium ulcerans, Mycobacterium malmoens. Rapid grower. Now this rapid grower, they grow very fast. They can grow within 3 to 5 days. They do not take 2 to 4 weeks. Mycobacterium cheloni, Mycobacterium fortuitum. Now what is photochromogen? What is scotochromogen? What is non-photochromogen? We'll talk about this in the next slide. Okay, so these are the 4 groups of atypical mycobacteria classified based on pigment production and growth rate by Ernest Runyon. Okay, did you understand? Buju? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can I move on to the next slide? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's talk about the cultural character. Now, can anyone tell me what is this in the media? Which media is this? You could media of one of them.
Media.
That is low instinct Jensen media. Okay. Atypical mycobacteria grow in low instinct Jensen media. Okay. They also grow in presence of para-nitrobenzoic acid, 500 microgram per ml, whereas Mycobacterium tuberculosis does not grow. Okay. So this is going to distinguish them from Mycobacterium tuberculosis. They grow in presence of para-nitrobenzoic acid, whereas Mycobacterium tuberculosis does not grow. The colonies appear within 2 to 3 weeks, except in case of rapid grower, which can produce colonies within 3 to 5 days. Photochromogens. Okay, now what is photochromogen? You know, photo means light. Photochromogen form colonies that produce no pigment in dark. That means they cannot produce pigment in the dark, but when the colonies are exposed to light for 1 hour, okay, if you expose the colonies in the light for 1 hour in presence of air and you re-incubate it for 24 to 48 hours, then you will find yellow-orange pigment. So yellow-orange pigment is called because of beta-carotene. So what does this mean? Photochromogen, they can produce the pigment not in dark, but only when exposed to light for 1 hour. Okay, that's why they are called photochromogen. Photochromogen means producing pigment in presence of light. Okay, and that pigment is yellow-orange pigment, also called beta-carotene. Buju? Did you understand? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mycobacterium marinum grows poorly at 37 degrees Celsius and well at 33 degrees Celsius. Photochromogen produce pigment in dark also. See, now what is the difference between photochromogen and scotochromogen? Photochromogen produce pigment only when exposed to light, but scotochromogen can produce pigment even in dark. Okay. So Mycobacterium zulgai is a scotochromogen at 37 degrees Celsius and photochromogen at 25. Now even it depends on temperature. Some atypical mycobacteria, they are scotochromogen. That means they can produce pigment even in dark at 37 degrees Celsius, but at 25 degrees Celsius, they have to be exposed to light to produce the pigment. Now, non-photochromogen form no pigment even when exposed to light. So non-photochromogen means even if you expose them to light, they do not produce any kind of pigment. And what about rapid growers? Now, these rapid growers can be either a photochromogen, either a scotochromogen, either non-photochromogen. So rapid grower can be any among the above 3. Okay, but only difference is they grow very fast within 3 to 5 days and not 2 to 4 weeks. Now this is the pigment which is produced. Okay, so this A is the photochromogen which is producing pigment only in light. See, in light it is producing pigment, but in dark you cannot see any pigment, very fade. Okay, scotochromogen can produce the pigment in light as well as in the dark. Okay, they can produce pigment even in dark, scotochromogen. Buju? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Buzio. Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's look at the difference between, this tuberculous mycobacteria and non-tuberculous mycobacteria. Okay. So this is tuberculous mycobacteria and this is non-tuberculous mycobacteria. Tuberculous, they grow very slowly, and non-tuberculous, they grow slow or rapid. Temperature 37 degrees Celsius. Okay. They can grow only at this temperature, but non-tuberculous, they can grow in temperature range of 25 to 45 degrees Celsius. So the non-tuberculous mycobacteria shows eugonic growth. Okay, eugonic means they show very rich growth, heavy growth. Okay, heavy growth, rich growth is called eugonic. Poor growth and less growth is called as dysgonic growth. Now, if you look at the colony of tuberculous mycobacteria, they are dry, rough, tough, buff colored. Okay, so they are dry, rough. That means the surface is not smooth. Tough, you cannot pick it up. If you try to pick up the colony with the help of a stick, small, a toothpick, or let's say with the help of inoculation loop, it's very difficult to pick up. It's very tightly adherent with the media. Buff colored means they look like buffy coat. If you separate the blood corpuscles from the serum, just at the junction of the serum and the corpuscle, you find a brownish yellow color. That is called as the buff color. It has got buff color. And it is very difficult to emulsify. If you try to mix the small amount of colony with normal saline or water, you cannot emulsify it very easily. Whereas if you look at the colony of non-tuberculous mycobacteria, they are also dry, they are yellow, they are orange, they are not tough, they are creamy, they are easily emulsifiable. That means they are not tough, they are easy to emulsify. The colonies are very soft and emulsifiable, and they are creamy, they are not rough. Okay. So tuberculous mycobacteria, they cannot grow in presence of para-nitrobenzoic acid, I told you, but non-tuberculous can. Tuberculous mycobacteria, they are niacin test positive, whereas the non-tuberculous are niacin test negative. Nitrate reduction test tuberculous positive, non-tuberculous negative. Did you understand? Bujil? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So the rotne part matre ho, right? These are all mugging up part. Okay. Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, infection and clinical manifestation. Okay, let's talk about the infection caused by this atypical mycobacteria. So, group 1, photochromogen. So, under this photochromogen comes Mycobacterium kansasi. Okay. So, this Mycobacterium kansasi can cause chronic pulmonary disease resembling tuberculosis, particularly in old person with pre-existing lung disease and with impaired immune response. So, in old people who have got pre-existing lung disease, like maybe cystic fibrosis, bronchiectasis, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or if that old person has got immune response, impaired immune response, then it can cause disease of the lungs, which is not exactly tuberculosis, but it can mimic tuberculosis. If you do the X-ray, you might find features similar to tuberculosis, or the patient might give, some clinical symptoms similar to tuberculosis, although it is not tuberculosis. Okay. Now this Mycobacterium simi, okay, it was originally isolated from the monkeys, and like Mycobacterium kansasi, it was principally isolated from pulmonary lesion. That means it can also cause lung disease similar to Mycobacterium kansasi. Okay. Now the next Mycobacterium, which is more important than these two for this system, integumentary system, is Mycobacterium marinum. Mycobacterium marinum causes superficial granulomatous skin disease known as swimming pool granuloma, also called as fish tank granuloma. Now, people who are swimming in a swimming pool which has been infected with Mycobacterium marinum, they might develop some kind of granulomatous skin disease known as swimming pool granuloma. Okay. Now, we'll talk about this swimming pool granuloma in the next slide. Okay. Can I move on to the next slide? Unsa? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's talk about swimming pool granuloma. Okay, so you can see in this picture, these are all the examples of swimming pool granuloma who swim in infected pond. Okay, infected swimming pool. Positive agent Mycobacterium marinum. Now sometimes you might be asked in MCQ in exam. Exam MCQ ma aula. Which of the following cause swimming pool granuloma? Like Mycobacterium marinum, Mycobacterium zulgai, Mycobacterium avium, Mycobacterium xenopi. The answer is, which is the correct answer? Which is the correct answer? Hello.
Mycobacterium marinum.
Mycobacterium marinum, right? Okay, so this might come as MCQ in exam, right? So the mode of infection: swimming in contaminated swimming pool or pond. Organism enter through the minor trauma. Suppose if there is small trauma, small cut in the skin, okay, then the mycobacterium can enter inside and cause this kind of granulomatous lesion, as you can see in this photo. Okay, so the lesion: small violet nodule or pustule. Okay, you will find a small violet nodule or pustule at the site of minor trauma may turn into prostate ulcer. Prostate भनेको नोडुल भनेको सानो एउटा चाहिँ फोका जस्तो है, एउटा फोका जस्तो आउँछ अनि त्यो फोका चाहिँ नि पस हैन पिपले भरिन्छ र पछि त्यो फुट्छ। त्यो फुटेपछि पाप्रै पाप्रा हुन्छ हैन, त्यो पाप्रालाई हामी के भन्छौं? prostate ulcer है। Small nodule filled with pus or pustule that will undergo, it might break and turn into prostate ulcer or abscess. Okay. Multiple lesions may be present. You might find multiple. Just look at this patient. You are finding so many lesions. Okay, in the upper arm. Okay, you can see in the lower part of the upper arm. Okay, or in the the extensor surface of the upper arm, you are finding so many lesions. Okay, multiple lesions. The disease is self-limiting. Okay, that means the disease may go on by itself. Okay, or it may not occur. It may not take a severe form. Treatment is the use of antibiotic. You can use minocycline or rifampin to treat this disease. Okay, so this is about swimming pool granuloma. The positive agent is Mycobacterium marinum, and this is how swimming pool granuloma looks like. Okay, can I move on to the next slide? Hello.
Self-limiting भन्नाले antibiotics use नगर्दा पनि के मतलब यतिकै सन्चो हुने?
अनि यतिकै सन्चो हुन पनि सक्छ, तर यदि सन्चो नै भएन भने त लिनु पर्यो नि हैन। भनेको सबै कन्डिसनमा सन्चो आफै हुन्छ भन्ने पनि छैन। ओके,
might be हुन पनि सक्छ
हैन, हुन सक्ने चान्स पनि छ, नभए भने एन्टिबायोटिक लिनु पर्ने हुन्छ। ओके, क्यान आई मुभ अन टु द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड? हुन्छ?
Yes sir.
Okay, now the second group is scotochromogen. Scotochromogen causes a disease called as scrofula. Okay, scrofula भनेको cervical lymphadenitis. So this is the neck. Okay, neck. In neck there are group of lymph node called as cervical group of lymph node है। घाँटीमा हुने lymph node लाई हामी cervical lymph node भन्छौं। त्यो lymph node को inflammation भयो भने that is called cervical lymphadenitis. Okay, it is called cervical lymphadenitis. So it is caused by Mycobacterium scrofulaceum. यो पनि MCQ मा आउला है। So scrofula or cervical lymphadenitis is caused by scotochromogen, that is Mycobacterium scrofulaceum, and is also usually self-limited rare disease, but with appearance of HIV/AIDS, it reappeared and 5% of severely immunocompromised patients are affected. Now, those patients who are immunocompromised, for example, HIV patient, 5% of the immunocompromised patient might be very severely affected with this disease. Okay, Mycobacterium scrofulaceum, that is cervical lymphadenitis. So what lesion do you find? Chronic painless mass in the neck. Okay, घाँटीमा सानो एउटा सुन्निन्छ हैन, घाँटीमा एउटा चाहिँ swelling हुन्छ, that is not painful, that is painless and usually grows with time. बिस्तारै ठुलो हुन्छ है, एउटा सानो फोका जस्तो उठ्छ, खास त दुख्दैन, ठुलो हुँदै जान्छ. Okay, it is a painless mass, usually grows with time. The mass is referred to as cold abscess. Okay, now why it is called cold abscess? यदि हाम्रो बडीमा कुनै पनि एब्सेस कतै पिप जमेको छ भने त्यो पिप जमेको ठाउँको माथि तिमीले यदि छाला स्किन छाम्यो भने त्यहाँ वार्म हुन्छ है, तातो हुन्छ है। जहाँ घाउ हुन्छ, जहाँनिर चाहिँ पिप जमेको हुन्छ, त्यसको माथिको स्किन युजुअली तातो हुन्छ। तर यसमा अचम्मको कुरा के छ भन्दाखेरि, द अनयुजुअल थिङ इज the skin overlying the abscess is not warm. Okay, the skin overlying the abscess is not warm. That's why, since the abscess is not warm, it is called cold abscess, and the overlying skin acquires a bluish purple color. If you look at the skin covering this lesion, it has got bluish purple, okay, or reddish purple color kind of lesion. Okay, so it is not painful, it is painless, it usually increases in size very, very slowly. It is called cold abscess, and the skin overlying is bluish purple in color. Okay, as the lesion progresses, skin adheres to the mass. अब बिस्तारै छाला र त्यो mass जोडिन थाल्छ and it ruptures, फुट्छ त्यसपछि. Okay, it may rupture forming a sinus or open wound. भनेको एउटा सानो पाल जस्तो देखिन्छ छालामा है. ओके, सो त्यो घाउ ठुलो हुँदै जान्छ, बिस्तारै फुट्छ, फुट्यो भने भित्रको एब्सेस पनि बाहिर यसरी चुन सक्छ हैन. अनि एउटा सानो चाहिँ घाँटीमा एउटा पाल जस्तो बन्छ एउटा है. A draining sinus or a small hole is created that is called as sinus. Okay, it is seen. Now what is a sinus? Okay, suppose this is the skin, this is the lesion, okay, this is the abscess, this is the skin. So this sinus will connect the outer part of the skin with the abscess. एउटा permanent एउटा पाल जस्तो बन्न सक्छ. Okay, this is called as sinus. Okay, so you may find one single sinus or you may find even multiple sinus हैन. थुप्रै पालै पाल हुन सक्छ घाँटीमा जहाँबाट एब्सेस यसरी बग्न सक्छ र पछि आफै ड्राई भएर जान पनि सक्छ. ओके, सो दिस इज व्हाट यू क्यान फाइन्ड इन केस अफ स्क्रोफुला or cervical lymphadenitis. It is caused by atypical mycobacteria which belongs to group Scotochromogen and the species is Mycobacterium scrofulaceum. बुझ्यो सबैले? हेलो, बुझ्यो?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
बुझ्यो है. Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, clinical features, symptoms of the disease similar to tuberculosis. You might find the symptoms similar to tuberculosis, like the patient might complain of, fever, chills, malaise, wedlocks, even anorexia. Okay, those can be the common complaint of the patient. So, what is the treatment? Surgical excision. Okay, सर्जिकल एक्सिजन भनेको यसलाई चाहिँ सर्जनलाई रिफर गरेर त्यसलाई काटेर फाल्ने हैन. सर्जनले त्यसलाई बिस्तारै मिलाएर काटेर फालेर फेरि पहिला जस्तै बनाइदिन्छ है. त्यो स्लोली राम्रोसँग मिलाउने हो भने यु माइट इभन ह्याभ टु रिफर टु प्लास्टिक सर्जरीलाई पनि रिफर गर्नुपर्ने हुन सक्छ है. केमोथेरापी, यु मे ह्याभ टु गिभ द केमोथेरापी दैट इज एन्टी ट्युबरकुलर ड्रग or you may not give also. Okay, now this is not causing much harm to your body, only it has got some kind of cosmetic, there might be even only ugly looks, right? Or नराम्रो देखिन भन्दा त राम्रो देखेकै राम्रो हैन. So this has to be removed rather than for the symptoms, for maybe for cosmetic purpose. Okay, so that is done by surgical excision. Okay, because it does not cause much kind of pain. Okay, did you understand? Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's come to another group that is non-photochromogen. Under this comes, Mycobacterium intracellular. This Mycobacterium intracellular is also called as Batte bacillus, as it was found for the first time in Batte State Hospital for tuberculosis in Georgia, USA. Okay, it was found in US in Batte Hospital. That's why it's also called Batte bacillus. It is Mycobacterium intracellular. Another is Mycobacterium avium, which can cause tuberculosis like disease in fowls and pigs. अब एनिमललाई गर्ने भएर this may not be so much important. Avium भन्ने बित्तिकै चरा हैन, एक भनेको चरा. Avium means it can cause tuberculosis like disease in birds. Okay. Now, Mycobacterium avium and Mycobacterium intracellular are so much similar. Right? These two Mycobacterium atypical, they have got so much similarity that they are kept in one single group. They are grouped as Mycobacterium avium intracellular complex, MAC complex पनि भन्छ. Okay, Mycobacterium avium intracellular complex or MAC complex. अब यो MAC complex को importance के छ त्यो आउँदैछ है त. Okay, can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this MAC complex or Mycobacterium avium intracellular complex, it has got 28 agglutination serotypes. यसको पनि 28 थरीको हुन्छ serotype है, because there might be differences in the molecular structure of certain components, certain antigen present in the bacteria. So based on differences in certain component of the bacteria like cell wall, cytoplasm, etc., you can find 28 different serotypes. Type 1, 2, 3 are regarded as Mycobacterium avium. अब त्यो 28 वटा टाइपमा 1, 2, 3 चाहिँ Mycobacterium avium, 4 देखि 28 भनेको 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. यिनीहरू चाहिँ Mycobacterium intracellular. Okay, so सुरुको 3टा avium, पछिको 25 वटा intracellular. Okay, Now this complex causes pulmonary disease indistinguishable from tuberculosis, very similar to tuberculosis. Also they can cause lymphadenitis, lymph node ko inflammation, okay, lymph node bhanda pani lymph node, lymphatic vessels of inflammation. Also it can cause disseminated disease, it can spread throughout the whole body, particularly in HIV patient. Normal मान्छेमा यसले खासै इन्फेक्सन गर्दैन. HIV मान्छेमा चाहिँ कस्तो गर्छ त, it can cause disease similar to tuberculosis, it can also cause lymphadenitis, it can also spread throughout the whole body, okay, this Mycobacterium avium intracellular complex, okay. So another is Mycobacterium xenopi. This Mycobacterium xenopi also can cause pulmonary lesion, okay. Now another most important one is Mycobacterium ulcerans, namai ulcerans bhanepachi it causes an ulcer called as Buruli ulcer. Now why it is called Buruli ulcer, I'll tell in the next slide, okay. Yahamsम्म बुझ्यो सबैले? बुझ्यो? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we talked about Mycobacterium avium intracellular, we talked about Mycobacterium xenopi, we talked about Mycobacterium ulcerans. Even this Mycobacterium ulcerans might come as MCQ. What is the causative agent of Buruli ulcer? The options are ulcerans, xenopi, intracellular avium. The answer is Mycobacterium ulcerans. There is another Mycobacterium called as Mycobacterium malmoense. It was first isolated from the patient from Malmo in Sweden, and it is also slow growing and causes pulmonary disease and lymphadenitis. Okay, it can also cause disease of the lungs and lymphadenitis. Now we'll talk about this Buruli ulcer in detail in the next slide. Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just to show, before starting Buruli ulcer, let's look at this slide. This is, a colon biopsy. HIV positive मान्छेको कोलोन बायोप्सी लिएको छ है. कोलोनबाट एउटा सानो चाहिँ टिस्युको टुक्रा निकालेर त्यसलाई टिस्यु प्रोसेसिङ गरेर जिल निल्सन स्टेनले स्टेन गरेको छ. So this, can you see some red structure, red thread-like particles? So these red thread-like particles are all Mycobacterium avium intracellular complex. Okay. So this patient who is HIV positive has been infected with Mycobacterium avium intracellular infection even in the intestine, even in the colon. Okay, just to show you that. Okay, so that means the patient who is immunocompromised might be infected in any part of the body by Mycobacterium, atypical Mycobacterium. Did you understand? Buzio?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Can I move on to the next slide?
yes, sir.
Now let's talk about Buruli ulcer. Okay. Now why it is called Buruli ulcer? The name Buruli ulcer is derived from Buruli district of Uganda. Right? In Africa there is a place, there is a country called as Uganda. That country has got a district called as Buruli. So this ulcer was found for the first time in that district. That's why they named the ulcer as Buruli ulcer. Okay, where there was a large outbreak of the disease which was investigated. Okay. So this is the typical Buruli ulcer. I'll talk about this ulcer now. So pathogenesis. Mycobacterium ulcerans, it produces exotoxin. Okay, it produces exotoxin which is involved in pathogenesis of the disease. Now what is that exotoxin? It is phospholipoprotein lipopolysaccharide complex. So phospholipoprotein lipopolysaccharide complex is the exotoxin produced by Mycobacterium ulcerans, which is responsible for producing this kind of ulcer. Okay, so the lipid toxin mycolactone functions as immune suppressant, necrotizing agent, and activator of cellular apoptosis. That means what does this toxin do? This toxin is going to suppress the immunity on one hand. On the other hand, it is going to cause necrosis. It is going to cause necrosis of the tissue, and also it can promote the death of the cell by cellular apoptosis activation. So because of these three mechanisms, this toxin can cause formation of ulcer, and this ulcer was found for the first time in Uganda Buruli district. That's why it is called Buruli ulcer. Bujhe sabaile? Understood?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
So clinical features of Buruli ulcer. Leg is the most common site of lesion. Okay, प्राय खुट्टामा बढी हुन्छ भन्छ. In early stage you find painful, itchy. Okay, it is painful and it is itchy, चिलाउने. Hard subcutaneous nodule. है छालाको मुनितिर एउटा डल्लो एउटा सानो नोडुल जस्तो हुन्छ, which is painful and itchy. Okay, so this is what you find initially, a painful, itchy, hard subcutaneous nodule. पछि के हुन्छ? That nodule enlarges. बिस्तारै ठुलो हुँदै जान्छ. That nodule enlarges and the center becomes soft. हैन? यो नोडुल ठुलो ठुलो हुँदै जान्छ, यसको बिचको पार्ट, सेन्टर पार्ट becomes soft due to necrosis of subcutaneous tissue. अनि त्यो नेक्रोसिस भएपछि अब घाउ बन्छ. It forms a deep ulcer is formed with cellular infiltration and granuloma formation. So later on this will land up with formation of ulcer. यस्तो चाहिँ pink red granulomatous ulcer form हुन्छ जुन अलिकति गहिरो हुन्छ, and this is, there is infiltration of the cell and there is granuloma formation in this ulcer. सुरुमा चाहिँ सुन्निने, बढ्दै जाने, चिलाउने, दुख्ने, हैन, पछि गएर आफै फुटेर घाउ बन्ने ulcer. Okay, this is the Buruli ulcer. Okay, deep ulcer. Okay, there is also granuloma formation in the ulcer. The lesion contains innumerable number of acid-fast bacilli. If you take the swab from the lesion, that may contain plenty of Mycobacterium ulcerans, plenty of acid-fast bacilli. Now, healing may occur spontaneously and AFP may disappear. Sometimes treatment may have to be done, but if the patient becomes, immune competent, the healing may occur spontaneously and acid-fast bacilli within the lesion may disappear. Okay, that may be a good point for people who suffer from this disease. Did you understand? Would you?
Yes, sir.
Vijay, can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Hunsa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, but more often the disease is slowly progressive and may cause further ulceration. कहिलेकाहीँ आफै ठिक भए तापनि the disease may progress very slowly, it may cause further ulceration. भनेको घाउ अझै धेरै हुने, there might be granulation, there might be scarring, हैन, scarring भनेको दाग बस्ने अथवा चाहिँ धब्बाहरू बस्ने, even there can be contracture. Now what is contracture? यदि घाउ भएर हैन निको भएर यस्तो हात पर्मनेन्टली यस्तो हुने, अब यस्तो कन्ट्राक्चर भएको जुन हाम्रो बडीको पार्ट छ त्यसलाई पहिला जस्तो मुभ गर्न सकिदैन. You cannot completely extend this hand or you may not be able to flex this hand. भनेको there is some permanent, disfigurement or permanent change in the structure of the muscle or the tissue in this part, and the patient is not able to move the hand completely, flexing or extending. So this kind of permanent, disfigurement or, change in the morphology is called as contracture. Okay, यस्तो contracture पनि हुन सक्छ. यस्तो contractureलाई चाहिँ सर्जिकली कहिलेकाहीँ करेक्सन गर्न पनि मिल्छ, कति गर्नै नमिल्ने पनि हुन्छ. ओके, कहिलेकाहीँ स्किन ग्राफ्टिङहरु पनि गर्नुपर्ने हुन सक्छ. ओके, मसल ग्राफ्टिङ, स्किन ग्राफ्टिङ. ओके, secondary infection and bone infection may occur. Sometimes the ulcer may be deep, it might even involve the bone, or there might be secondary infection of other parts of the body. Okay, that also may occur. Okay, Th1 mediated immune response are protective against Mycobacterium ulceration. That means Th1 means that is cell mediated immunity. Okay, cell mediated immunity is more important in protection but not humoral immunity. Th2 means humoral immunity or antibody mediated immunity. So cell mediated immunity is more important in protection against Mycobacterium ulcerans. So this you can see, this is the Buruli ulcer of the ankle of a person from Ghana. Okay, it's an African country, a very poor developing country. The ulcer you can see in the ankle. Okay, did you understand? Would you? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, again you can see in this picture, this is 18-month-old child, 18 महिनाको बच्चा. Okay, this child is having some infection of the ear. So when they took some sample from this lesion and they did PCR. So when PCR was done, they confirmed that it was Buruli ulcer. It was infected with Mycobacterium ulcerans. Okay, so this was found in St. Leonard, Victoria, Australia in 2001. Okay, so this is the Buruli ulcer in the dorsum of, the middle finger. Okay, Buruli ulcer on the hand of a patient from Peru. You can find non-ulcerative edematous lesion, the right middle finger as seen. Okay. In B, you can see ulcerated lesion of the right middle finger approximately 4 weeks later. Then, they have done treatment. So what doctor they did, they just removed that part of the skin. Okay. Debridement means removal of necrotic skin or unwanted skin is called as debridement. Okay, so extensive debridement 5.5 weeks after first seen. After this debridement was done, I think some skin grafting was done. Okay, autologous skin grafting. उसको आफ्नै body को कुनै skin निकालेर यहाँ graft गरेर, now it has become fine. This has become totally healed. Okay, so this kind of debridement and skin grafting can be done for the treatment of Buruli ulcer. Okay, बुझ्यो सबैले? बुझ्यो? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So treatment and prevention. Surgical excision or removal of the lesion is very, very important. Okay. So you saw in the previous picture that surgical excision was done and skin grafting was done. Right? भनेको त्यो कुहिएको स्किनलाई त्यो सडेको घाउलाई अथवा नेक्रोटिक रिजनलाई रिमुभ गरेर छाला चाहिँ टाँस्दिने. ओके, स्किन ग्राफ्टिङ गरिदिने. WHO recommend rifampin and streptomycin for 8 weeks in a hope of reducing the need of surgery. Sometimes even antibiotic or the anti-tubercular drug may work, although there is high chances of resistance. In some condition, if you give the anti-tubercular drug even without surgery, the patient may become fine. Rifampin should not be used alone because bacteria gain quickly. The bacteria may become quickly resistant. Do not use rifampin alone. You must have to use rifampin in combination with other anti-tubercular drug. So rifampicin in combination with streptomycin, clarithromycin and moxifloxacin has been used. Antibiotics are effective in 80% of the people, as they say. This is according to the research done in various places. Even you can give a BCG vaccine, Bacillus calmette-guerin vaccine. It can also offer temporary protection. Okay. So these are the different ways of treating and preventing the disease. Okay, the Buruli ulcer disease. Okay, caused by Mycobacterium, caused by caused by
Bacterium ulcer.
Mycobacterium ulcerans. Okay, can I move on to the next slide? Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, group 4 rapid grower. Okay, the last group, that is group 4 or rapid grower group of atypical Mycobacteria. The medically important species are Mycobacterium fortuitum and Mycobacterium cheloni. Okay, so both of these species cause chronic abscesses in humans when injectable materials are contaminated. अब injection, जुन injection हाल्न लागेको त्यति त्यो injection नै फोहोर रहेछ, contamination भएको रहेछ भने it can cause disease because of fortuitum and cheloni. Okay, sometimes even the injectable materials may be contaminated. Okay. So abscesses are painful. It can cause abscess which are very painful and which can last for many months. Okay. So you might find multiple abscesses which might be very, very painful, which might last for very long. Okay. This is because of rapid grower. So they grow within 3 to 5 days. Okay. The examples are Mycobacterium fortuitum and Mycobacterium cheloni. Okay. Did you understand? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you move on to the next slide?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So again, to summarize all different, lymphadenopathy, scrofulaceum, avium intracellular, Zolgai, pulmonary disease, Mycobacterium avium intracellular, Kansasi, Xenopicini, skin lesion like Buruli ulcer in swimming pool granuloma by Mycobacterium marinum, post-injection abscess by cheloni and fortuitum, disseminated disease, it's HIV related, it can be caused by avium intracellular, it's related again Mycobacterium avium intracellular and Mycobacterium cheloni. So this is just to summarize different disease caused by different atypical Mycobacteria, which can be important for your MCQs mainly, right? Okay, can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So diagnosis. Clinical diagnosis based on history and clinical examination of the patient. If you take good history from the patient and if you examine the patient in a very accurate way, using all your technical skills and the examination skill, then you can come to diagnosis. Radiology, you can go for X-ray, CT scan, MRI, USC. If the patient is having infection of the internal part of the body like lungs, then you might have to do all these radiological procedure. For the lab diagnosis, we can collect the sputum sample in case of lung infection, or you can collect the pus sample, the exudate, or even you can take swab from the lesion. Okay. So microscopy, you can go for ZN staining. Okay. We go for Zeal-Nielsen staining. Now you'll be doing practical on Ziehl-Neelsen staining, after you finish the respiratory system, okay, if the college opens. So this Ziehl-Neelsen staining is asked in the exam, in the practical exam, 20 marks. So Ziehl-Neelsen staining will stain mycobacteria. Better than Ziehl-Neelsen stain, we can also use fluorescent stain, okay. Even fluorescent stain is better than Ziehl-Neelsen stain. Okay, fluorescent stain is better than Ziehl-Neelsen stain, but the problem with fluorescent stain is it is much more expensive than Ziehl-Neelsen stain. Okay, and fluorescent stain is much more sensitive than Ziehl-Neelsen stain. Now, Ziehl-Neelsen stain can fail in certain situations. If the amount of bacteria is less than 50,000 in 1 ml of sample, then Ziehl-Neelsen stain cannot reveal the bacteria. In that condition, fluorescent stain can reveal, but fluorescent stain is very expensive. We need a fluorescent microscope to see the stain. And fluorescent microscope cost might be 25 to 30 lakh rupees, whereas a normal microscope costs only 50,000 to 2 lakh rupees. Okay. So you can also culture in LJ media, that is Lowenstein-Jensen media. Okay. I told you that 3 of the bacteria, 3 of those, they grow within 2 to 4 weeks, but the rapid grower can grow within 3 to 5 days. Some they produce pigment in dark, some they produce pigment only when exposed to light. Okay, those things also should be taken into consideration. The media of choice, the culture media of choice is the LJ media. Then also you can go for PCR. Okay, PCR is going to target those genes which is very unique for mycobacteria. I have already taken a lecture on PCR previously. It can target those genes, which are unique for mycobacteria or atypical mycobacteria. Also, it can target the genes which is responsible for producing the exotoxin, or it can also target the genes which make the bacteria drug resistant. Okay. Can I move on to the next slide? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now, these are the different microscopy of different mycobacteria. This is Mycobacterium bovis. This is Ziehl-Neelsen staining, focused at 1000x power. So you can see the field comprising well-dispersed single cells and small groups. Okay, the bacilli are shorter, slightly thicker, and more evenly stained than those of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. In preparing the smear, the culture emulsified readily. Okay, this is a Mycobacterium bovis. So bovis may not be a atypical mycobacteria. The second one you have got, this is atypical mycobacteria. If you compare the morphology of this with bovis, it is much longer. Okay, the bacilli are long and unevenly stained. They are not evenly stained. About 50% strains have this appearance in smear. Others look different. Okay, others look little bit different. Other like tuberculosis. Okay. Okay, so the bacilli are much longer if you compare the morphology. About 50% strains have this appearance in smear. Others look like Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So there is some morphological difference between bovis and kansasi. If you look at Xenopy, the bacilli are again long, slender, and do not stain deeply. Okay, they may stain uniformly, but they do not stain deeply. The arrangement of these cells often suggests network. Okay, you can see, thread-like network or skin-like network. Okay, this is also different from these two. And another one is Mycobacterium avium. In this, the bacilli are characteristically short. The bacilli are, evenly dispersed and stained. But if you look at the size of bacilli, it is much shorter if you compare with that of Xenopy, kansasi, and bovis. So even by looking at the morphology of bacilli under the ZN stain, that is Ziehl-Neelsen stain, in oil immersion, you might distinguish different species. You might be able to, roughly differentiate different species based on the microscopic morphology. Okay. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is just to show you, I think I already taught you this in culture media chapter. So Lowenstein-Jensen media is the media of choice to culture this selective media. It has got, this is the composition of LJ media: L-asparagine, monopotassium phosphate, magnesium sulfate, sodium citrate, malachite green, potato flour. You must have to add glycerol. Okay. Then also you have to add the egg suspension. Then you must have to add certain antibiotic like, cycloheximide, lincomycin, nalidixic acid at different concentration. The final pH should be 6.9 plus minus 0.3 at 25 degrees Celsius. So it has got fatty acid and protein essential for metabolism of mycobacteria. It has got glycerol as the source of carbon. There is asparagine, potato flour, ribonucleic acid as the source of nitrogen, vitamin and growth stimulant. Malachite green and sodium citrate inhibit unwanted bacteria. Nalidixic acid inhibit most of the gram-negative bacteria which is not wanted. Lincomycin inhibit gram-positive bacteria which is not wanted. Cycloheximide suppresses saprophytic fungi. Mortum, potassium phosphate and magnesium sulfate, they enhance the growth of the organism and also act as buffer to maintain the pH of the media. So in this way, the LJ media has been designed, which is going to support the growth only of mycobacterium and will not allow any other bacteria to grow. Okay. So I think I taught you in culture media chapter also previously before lockdown. So I am revising this once again, the LJ media. Okay. Can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
No, these are some of the biochemical differences between different species of mycobacterium. Okay, like you can see growth within 7 days. Fortuitum cheloni, Flei, smegmatis, they can grow within 7 days, but these, they grow very slowly. Some can grow even at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, you can see, so these plus ones, they can grow in 25 degrees Celsius. Some can grow even at 45 degrees Celsius. That is, Flei and smegmatis can grow in 45 degrees Celsius. 37 degrees Celsius, most of them, they grow at 37 degrees Celsius except this marinum, okay, which is found in the water or swimming pool. It grows at low temperature, okay. So pigment in the dark, you can see Scrophulaceum, Flei, they produce pigment in the dark. Pigment in the light, Kansas-sea, marinum, Scrophulaceum, okay. Then you can see again this Flei, they can produce pigment in the light also. Urease test, so many of them are urease test positive. Only Mycobacterium tuberculosis is niacin test positive, other are negative. Nitrate reduction test, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Kansas-sea, Fortuitum, Flei, smegmatis, they are nitrate reduction positive, other are negative. Now this biochemical test, it is done based on number of organisms. This may not hold good in 100% of the organism. Out of 100 organisms, if 80% of the organisms show positive test, then we can consider it as positive. But if 50% show positive and 50% they show negative, you have to keep this kind of plus minus. And if less than 50% they show positive, then we have to keep it as minus. Okay. So it's not necessary that all organisms should be plus, should be minus. Some may be half, 50% plus, 50% minus also. Okay. Did you understand? Gujjo?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Gujjo. Now this is one interesting case, okay? So this lady was, she was treated with laser resurfacting fraction, CO2, okay? This lady was old lady who wanted to remove her wrinkles, right? छाला चौरी परेको हटाउनको लागि यो लेडीले लेजर थेरापी गरेको रहेछ तर त्यो लेजर थेरापी गर्दाखेरि उसको स्किनलाई माइक्रोब्याक्टेरियल इन्फेक्सन भएर चाहिँ झन् बिग्रियो यस्तो भयो ओके This is what happened to that lady after, fractionated CO2 laser resurfacting done to remove the wrinkles of the skin to look more young and attractive. So later on, they did therapy. This lady, she received multi-drug therapy and also they did another laser treatment that is called pulse dye treatment and her lesion was totally removed after 5 months. Okay. So after 5 months of multi-drug therapy and laser treatment, her lesion again was removed. Okay, so this is the interesting case of this skin infecting mycobacteria. It must be atypical. It is the atypical non-tuberculous mycobacteria which this lady suffered because of laser therapy. Okay, did you understand? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, so this finishes your today's lecture on atypical mycobacteria. Okay. Now we have lecture on Friday, I guess. In that we will talk about, I think, one parasite. There is Trichinella spiralis worm parasite. We'll talk about that in the next slide. Okay, thank you for today, all of you. I'm going to send this slide PDF in your common email, like last time. Kusko Aditya Jha, Aditya? Aditya? So I'll send in Aditya's email. Aditya can pass on to all your friends, but please make sure you do not share with any other faculties or any other friends from other colleges. Okay?
Sure, sir.
Do not share, right?
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.